A massacre in the honeycombs.
There were dead bees all over the front of the hive, all over the bottom board, and they all had all been chopped to bits. They were decapitated.
Beekeeper Ted McFall says he went to check on a hive one morning in November and found an entire colony destroyed. 60,000 honeybees torn apart in a savage attack. About a month later, the alleged attacker was revealed. This Asian giant hornet found in Blaine, Washington, just a couple miles from McFall's property.
And all it takes is a couple dozen of the Asian giant hornets to show up and start lopping off heads.
Dubbed the murder hornet for its powerful sting and the way it decapitates its prey, this is the first time the world's largest hornet has been seen in the U.S. In its native Asia, Vespa mandarinia is notorious, seen on programs like Netflix's 72 Dangerous Animals. Washington State entomologist Chris Looney says the clock is ticking.
The goal is to eradicate it now while the population is presumably small.
If he and his colleagues can't wipe out the invaders this summer, they're likely to multiply and spread across the country with potentially disastrous consequences. They're counting on the public to help trap and track hornets back to their nests.
They have a 1-year life cycle, and so every year we can keep a nest from reproducing, then we win.
The hornets also pose a threat to humans. Adventurer and YouTube personality Coyote Peterson tracked one down in Japan to demonstrate how painful their sting can be.
Searing pain!
A few dozen stings can be fatal. Asian giant hornets kill around 30 to 50 people a year, and while Japanese bees have evolved to create self-defense systems, North American bees have no idea how to fight an alien predator like this. Bee Lives Matter experts say not just for honey, but the entire food system.
The pollination that honeybees do for our food supply cannot be understated. I mean, there's so many fruits and vegetables that are dependent on honeybees.
In other words, a threat to the bee is a threat to you and me. For Today, Joe Fryer, NBC News, Los Angeles.
In the past few months, 42 people have died and nearly 2,000 have been injured in China's Shanxi province. The cause, you ask? The Asian giant hornet. Not only are these hornets over 1.5 inches long, they are packed full of extremely potent venom. Most insects don't attack unless you harm them or their habitat. However, Asian giant hornets swarm without even being provoked. In fact, they randomly swarmed a school in South China and injured 30 people. No one is exactly sure why these giant hornets are attacking or even where they came from. One theory suggests that these little monsters are a non-native invasive species that lay dormant for years, attacking in the same way the paper wasp did in California. However, others say that the hot weather is allowing the hornets to be much more active. Stings are usually easy to treat with dialysis, but most local doctors don't know how to. And if a person is not treated after a few hours, kidney failure may occur. So the best way to protect yourself is to just stay clear of hives. This can be tricky though, because they generally build underground or on buildings. That's scary. Have you guys ever been stung by a hornet? Let me know in the comments below. I have once in the 3rd grade and I cried and I embarrassed myself and everybody teased me for at least a year. Anyways, that's all we have for today's episode, and don't forget to check out these other episodes over here, and you can click below right down here to subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna buzz off. I'll see you hairy mammals tomorrow. And one more thing before I go, we're almost to 65,000 subscribers. So that means that I have to do a video with a snake. I'm so scared. Please don't make me do it. Oh, please don't make me.
nature's intricate web of checks and balances, there is a place for payback. These too are honeybees. They made their hive in a hollow tree. They too are caring for their young. But these are native Japanese honeybees, and they're not quite as defenseless as their European cousins. They have evolved a secret weapon against the giant hornet. One they may need often in this deadly season. This hornet is the advanced guard of an attack force the bees could never withstand. But this time, the bees set a trap. They want the hornet inside. And the hornet obliges. The scout's main task is to mark the hive with the telltale pheromone so that her sisters can find it later. But the native honeybees know her game. By swinging their abdomens to and fro, they signal their strategy to one another. The bees hold off until the last possible moment. And then, as if of one mind, they swarm. The hornet is engulfed by hundreds of bees. But they don't sting the intruder. Instead, as revealed by thermal photography, they all begin to vibrate, gradually raising their collective temperature to 117 degrees Fahrenheit. Japanese honeybees can tolerate a temperature of 118 degrees. Their victim's upper limit is 115. The hornet scout is slowly roasted alive. And the secret of the honeybee's location dies with her.
On top of the pandemic, the United States has another problem, a giant insect called the murder hornet. Wonderful. Experts say the Asian giant hornets are an invasive, potentially deadly species. Are you kidding me?
I know.
They've been found in the United States for the first time, attacking beehives in Washington state. Its venomous sting can kill a person if they are stung several times. They're also strong enough to puncture a beekeeper's suit. Fantastic. The hornets are more than 2 inches long, and scientists are trying to figure out how they made it to the United States in the first place. As if we don't have a bee problem already.
I read that this weekend.
Now the murder hornet is taking out beehives. Are you kidding me?
I saw this and I'm thinking, oh, now we already can't go outside. We're not supposed to go outside. Now we really don't want to go outside.
No, because the murder hornets are loose.
I mean, they're just killing. Here's the thing is.
Now there's going to be a run-on raid.
Do you hear how they kill the bees?
No.
They decapitate them.
Oh my gosh, stop.
I'm dead serious. They decapitate the bees.
This is awful. I mean, really?
I wish I were kidding.
It's a moment of responsibility. Italy's Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte spoke those words back in early March when he announced these lockdown measures. Nearly 2 months later, he's making the same plea to Italians as the lockdown starts to lift. Those words on the front page of today's Corriere della Sera. The paper says that everything now hinges on the choices of individual Italians and how they react to regaining some of their freedoms. France is set to follow in Italy's footsteps in just a week's time, but as we read on the front page of Le Parisien, for many teachers and transportation workers, it's still a no-go. Over 300 mayors from the Paris region have written to the Élysée expressing their concerns about reopening schools. The main public transportation union has also written to the government. They want strict regulations on the number of people allowed into the Paris metro. Taking a break from the coronavirus, the story making all the buzz in the United States this weekend was the arrival of so-called murder hornets to the Pacific Northwest. The invasive species is native to Japan and South Korea. They are known for decapitating bees and taking their bodies to feed their young. Their presence is bad news for already declining bee populations, and for many people it was also the last straw in what's already been a doomsday news cycle. There have been a couple cartoons like this one from Ed Hall. Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, we get murder hornets. Finally, for a story about some less threatening creatures, we can turn to Japan, where one aquarium is proposing video chats with its eels. In the absence of visitors, the eels have once again started hiding from humans, and the aquarium staff says that makes it hard for them to check up on their health. To help the eels get over their shyness, Tokyo's Sumida Aquarium is holding a face-showing festival. It goes through Tuesday, so you still have 2 more days if you want to take a break from your work calls and have a virtual hangout with some eels.